So, guys, first of all, nature healing. That's what we're talking about. How we can heal through nature. And when we look at this, we first of all need to know, well, why would we need this? What's the go? Are we really, why is it so beneficial at this point? Because now more than ever, like when our grandparents and grandparents around, they had such a less amount of things to deal with in their lives that we do. Like the amount of electromagnetic pollution alone that we're exposed to is, a million times more than our grandparents alone. They had like radio stations. We've got Wi-Fi and we've got phone towers, we've got all sorts of stuff. And it's only if you think the world is going to get less digital in the future with all the money all these companies are investing in AI, we're kidding ourselves. It's only going to get more and more. And so the modern world is suffering a collective spiritual sickness. We've really disconnected. So what I mean by that is the way they are in relationship with their mind, with their spirit, the way their minds talk to themselves and judge themselves and others, and the monkey mind, the way their relationship with their spirit, the way their emotional body, the way their relationship with nature. There's a lot of room for improvement there. And because we're going more into this modern, we're going more indoors, more modern, more AI. So the disconnection is getting worse. And there's a reason for that, which I'll share shortly, which I think is really, really interesting to consider. Um, so confusion, disconnection, most people have no idea who they really are and what reality is, let alone that it's all energy and how this reality works. So what happens is people are feeling confused out there. They're feeling disconnected, feeling what's the point? And apathy can emerge when we come from this place. A lot of people are feeling really, really, really pretty poorly about the state of the world these days. And some people have got concerns about moving forward into more of an AI centric world. And talking to a lot of psychologists, anthropologists, health researchers, and of course, all the spiritual traditions that I've studied over the years and been trained in, would argue that modern humans have become significantly more disconnected from the natural world than our ancestors. And so, while technology and modern living have brought enormous benefits, and they have, I mean, we're able to do this and have this meeting with people all around Australia, all around the world, because of technology. So it's not about it's bad and don't use it at all, but how can we use nature as a healing resource to make sure that we're not being overwhelmed by it? Because that does seem to be happening a fair bit. So they've also altered by this increase in technology and indoors. It's also altered how we relate to nature, our bodies, our communities, and even our sense of meaning. And so we're spending a lot of time indoors. Obviously we come from in human history where we've been outdoors in close relationship. And those, the sunlight, the energies of the earth, being out in the dirt, gardening, all these things that we sort of our ancestors and us in other lifetimes as well have come through time experiencing. They're the machinations, they're the energies that have kept humans healthy and well. Whereas today we're inside like 90% of the time when we're sitting, we're under artificial light, we're working, sleeping, shopping, and entertaining, all indoors. Not all, but a lot, and so artificial light, actually, they've done a lot of studies on this now. Electric lighting, screens, it really disconnects you from the natural cycles of sunrise, sunset, and seasonal changes. And, we're all exposed to such, and there's solutions. There's like blue blocker glasses that I normally wear to block the blue light. And there's also you can get light globes where, I've got this light, well, that one's just gone flat, but I've got a light here that I normally use at night. Instead of having the normal lights on, I've got little blue light free globes in my home so that I'm not exposed to that artificial light that's telling my body that it's still daytime. And so that really throws off your hormones and things like that. So there's lots of things, lots of solutions, which is great. So obviously reduce physical movement, industrialized food. We want to return to nature as much as possible and get out there and move in nature. There's obviously digital overstimulation. So, it's constant. I don't know if you've walked around these days or been to an appointment. And I remember the old days where you go to an appointment, you sit down, you'd say hello, and you'd meet some lovely person and have a little chat. But these days, everyone's in their phone. They don't ever look up even to say hello. I was driving the other day and someone just walked out in front of me on their phone. They didn't even, I gave them a little beep. They looked up and just looked back at their phone and kept walking. I was like, oh my goodness. Everyone's in this sort of trance of the phones, and it's quite interesting, isn't it? These little devices that we've just got our noggins in here, and it's just filling ourselves with constant overstimulation, entertainment, whereas it's leaving very little time for that space for just reflection and stillness, and just to be out in nature. People need to be stimulated constantly now, earphones in their ears, So obviously urbanization, where in cities, we're indoors, we've got limited contact with forests, with oceans, with wildlife, with stars and natural landscapes. And these things are incredibly healing for you, which we'll go through shortly. And so modern humans have lost a lot because of this. And so what we want to do is we work out how do we actually reconnect with this? Because there's also the urbanization is one thing, but we've also lost a sense of community and tribal living because of this. And it's not about going back to tribal living as such, but it's actually how can we become more connected? It's not by on the computer on our phones. It's actually by getting together and really having good long conversations out in nature. And so when we also look at this, what are the physical effects? Well, this has actually come through science now. This isn't just, me saying what I think. This has actually been shown. As I said, a friend of mine who's an anthropologist, he's been working with these universities and they've done tests on this. Really quite incredible what's shown up. This is brand new. This really hasn't even hit mainstream. So I'm really excited to share this with you guys. But higher stress hormones. Now, does anyone know what stress hormones can do to your body? I mean, poor quality sleep, inflammation, reduced physical fitness, high rates of obesity, greater risk of anxiety and depression, and reduced exposure to beneficial sunlight and natural environments. It's huge. Those physical effects are massive. And then when you look at the mental effects, the human brain's evolved in natural settings, not amid constant notifications, information, watching video streams, scrolling through things all the time. And many people report from this difficulty concentrating. It's really interesting how all of a sudden, does anyone here remember when you're at school, many people having anxiety, depression, let alone ADHD? I don't remember hardly any. Now it's like every second person is being diagnosed with ADHD. They've got anxiety, depression. It's rampant. And this is part of what we're talking about. And there's something else I'm going to share with you, which is really quite incredible. So difficulty concentrating, information overload, shortened attention spans, mental exhaustion, increased worry, and rumination. So the other thing here with emotional effects is, see, nature often provides something many modern environments do not: spaciousness. It's the one thing where when you look at it, you spend time in it, it restores you. It's called nature restoration theory. It doesn't take away from you. Everything else we focus on, every man-made object, every time we're looking at a book, a pen, a computer, it's taking from your energy. When you're in nature, it restores you. Just literally just being in there. And so when disconnected from nature, people experience greater anxiety, emotional numbness, feeling disconnected from themselves, increased loneliness, difficulty regulating emotions. And many people also notice that after spending time in the beach, in a forest, hiking in the mountains, emotions seem to settle naturally without deliberate effort. So these are just things I'm going to talk to you later about. This is just literally being in nature. So you can be in nature and you can receive incredible benefits. It's just like you can go to a dinner party and there can be a group of people there and you can experience good things. You can be around people. But then what if we can teach you and show you how to deeply connect? When you're with a human being and you're out there and there's general conversation going, you're like, oh yeah, but then you meet someone at that dinner party and you connect. And it's like it's a beautiful connection because you're conversing with each other and you can learn how to converse with nature and connect because they're living beings. All those trees you see in the picture there, the mountains, the river, the water, the animals, they all have a spirit in them, just like you and I. We're all part of that one divine force expressing itself in different forms. And we can learn how to connect, just like we can talk to our fellow humans, we can learn how to converse and deeply connect with nature. And that's next level, what that provides for you. So what are the spiritual effects? Well, when people become disconnected from nature, they often become disconnected from a sense of belonging to something larger than themselves. Because you got to remember, we're spiritual beings, we're energetic beings, and we're normally for millions of years, humans have developed and grown being in and living with other energetic fields of being that are also alive, that also have a spiritual energy. And all of a sudden, we've taken ourselves out of that energetic field and popped ourselves into spaces that are dead. They're not alive. And then we're also using technologies and stuff that have very different hertz and frequency energetically than nature does. And we'll explain that to you in a little bit more depth shortly. But it has a profound effect on us. And this is something that I think explains so much of what we're going through in our modern society. So when we get disconnected from nature too much, oftentimes people report feeling purposeless, a loss of wonder and awe, and feeling separate from life. So some of the other spiritual effects is we can experience a loss of connection with intuition, difficulty experiencing gratitude, reduced sense of sacredness. Many indigenous cultures viewed all the rivers, the mountains, the animals, and the earth itself as living relationships rather than resources. And what are relationships? Beautiful relationships can really enhance your life. And so, this is so important because a lot of our fellow humans are going through the same things everyone else is. And so people don't have as much time and room and space for deep connections anymore. And so nature offers us a beautiful invitation to receive that. So from a spiritual perspective, modern life can create the illusion that we're separate observers standing outside nature rather than participants in it. In fact, you're not only a participant in it, you are it. That your true nature is that you are nature. We're all part of this one big living ecosystem. But humans have become very separate to that. And it's having, as they're starting to show scientifically, some very profound and deep consequences. And if we let that keep going, especially with the lure of transhumanism, the lure of AI and enhancements and all the things that are going to be coming down the track, it's very important that we ground ourselves in a deep spiritual earth connection so that we can maintain our essence of what it's like to be really a human being and not get sort of caught up into that world too much. It's going to be a balancing act. It's not necessarily bad or wrong, but we definitely need to be grounded into nature. So you can just see the difference there. I just thought that picture was so powerful. I was out there doing that this morning. I was having a beautiful meditate on the beach this morning after doing a bit of qigong and went for a swim. And it's just so incredible. And then you've got someone who's in an office under artificial light, people putting things in front of them and all sorts of stuff. And it's stressful, right? And you're not even in the right environment for you. And you've got all these other things going on there. And this is the key thing. This is so important. So it's all about frequency. We're energetic beings. And there's something called the Schumann resonance. Now, a lot of people think that the Schumann resonance is just the heartbeat of the earth. It's not actually the heartbeat of the earth. It's a combination of the sun, the energy of the sun hitting the ionosphere of the earth and connecting with that energy, and that connection of the yin and the yang, the sun and the earth, provides the magic of that Schumann resonance. Now, the Schumann resonance of 7.83 hertz just happens to be the same hertz of a human being's mind when it goes into alpha, out of theta and into alpha. And alpha is the place where healing happens. It's the place where you're less stressful. It's the place where intuition happens. It's a way better place to experience life. And the beautiful thing about it is nature is operating in that. And so we've got to remember that's the hertz that has a human being in that place of rest and digest, heal, intuition, all those things we're talking about, all the good things we want. If you start going too lower down through the hertz of your mind, you're going to be, under hypnosis, and it'll be very difficult to work and do much, And so alpha is a really good state to be in. But at the same time, we're also surrounded by all these synthetic hertz. And this is mind-blowing. When I discovered this through a friend of mine who is, he's now passed away, but he was an environmental scientist. And he was very passionate about this. He wrote a book about this, about 3G, 5G, and all that sort of stuff, right? And some of these devices, have a guess at how many hertz they operate at. We're meant to be in an environment of 7.83. So when he asked me this very question, I said, well, 20, 30 hertz, higher, 40, 50, higher, hundreds of millions of hertz at the higher range. I mean, remember, we're energetic beings. So if we're meant to be at 7.83, but we're constantly being buzzed by our phones that have got signals and the Wi-Fi towers, and we're being buzzed by an energy that's a much, much higher hertz. Could this be the explanation of why so many people? Because if you look at it, since this technology's come in, what is it that's changed about human society other than this technology that would all of a sudden have so many more people being diagnosed with anxiety, depression, ADHD, and so on? I really believe this is one of the core things. And so that's why it's so important to learn how to ground. We were talking about grounding sheets before. I highly recommend those because when you're connected to the earth, you naturally have a protective field that goes around you that massively lessens the impact of that. So sleeping in it is fantastic. Turning your modem off at night is a must. In fact, if you're able to, you can re-hardwire your internet so there's not Wi-Fi going around from your modem. You can, the old-fashioned wire and plug it into your modem. And absolutely turning. So you've got that 8 hours of night, hopefully, where you're not getting buzzed by that frequency. Keeping your phone arm distance away when you're talking on it, having it on speakerphone, and don't carry it on your person. If you got it on your persons and you're carrying it around, because of you're on a walk or something like that, put it on airplane mode because it's literally just a little mini microwave device just buzzing you constantly. And there's been all sorts of things. People, have put all sorts of information out there that's kept very quiet about some of the impacts that it has. Having a phone up to your ear and talking on it constantly. There's a lot of interesting research going on there that talking about the impacts it has on your health. And so this is a big part of it. So what vibration are you living in? Just have a look at that picture there for a moment. How many things have you got in your house right now that are hooked up to Wi-Fi? The kids have got iPads, smartwatches, earless headphones that are literally sticking in your ear. And how do you think they're working? There's a Wi-Fi connection. That is incredibly bad for your brain, let alone the kid's brain. You've got your TV, your smart TV. Soon they're bringing out fridges with Wi-Fi so it can tell you what you need to order. It's crazy. And so you're sitting in an environment that is sending out energy of hertz that is so much more higher than what you're meant to be in, to thrive in mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And so this is a big part of what we're dealing with here. So how can we reduce the impact of that? Hardwire these devices. If people want to be on the internet, they can go up to the docking station and they can have a desk there and you plug it in the back and hook up the Wi-Fi that way. Yes, you might have a few more cords around, but it's going to be worth it for your health. Turn all these devices off on airplane mode at night and the modem off. And there are also devices that you can get that you can stick on phones and put in your house that are meant to harmonize the effects of these things, but none of them are scientifically proven. My friend who is an environmental scientist, he said he researched a lot of the main companies and he said he didn't see a single thing that would prove a thing. Unfortunately, it's just what he said. So it wouldn't pass the scientific study at all. Now, some of them are claiming certain things. Maybe they do. I've got some because I figure, it's better. What can it hurt to just have a sticker on the back of my phone or a case that might help and protect? And they'll probably bring out ones that are a bit more proven in the future. So I think it's still worthwhile using them, just in case they do something. So what's happening with AI? Well, we've got by the end of 2024, ChatGPT had an IQ of 157 across most areas of human knowledge and set to double every year from there. And this isn't just ChatGPT, it's there's so many of them now. So what will that mean? IQ, like in humans being the most intelligent species on the planet, has become, that's how we became the dominant species. It's our trump card, enabling us to hold court, so to speak, on this particular reality. Robotics are on the way soon. It won't be long before robots, just like you can see there, and they'll be cruising around and they'll have access to the AI that we're talking about there that's going to double. And they're talking about super intelligence, and these things are going to be able to operate 24/7. So this is coming thick and fast. It's coming quicker than you think. And so I've got one of my clients works for Elon Musk. And so we've been privy to a lot of the inside things. I can't share it because I promised I wouldn't. But it's coming. It's pretty much here, really. It's just a matter of time before these things are out. And so what do you think that means for our ability to create? With the average IQ for humans around 100, we're not going to be the most intelligent, energy on the planet. So it's going to change the way we do money, we produce, we write copy, we run businesses, we relate. It's going to have a significant impact on a lot of areas of life. And so why am I sharing that with you? Because it's interesting here that if you look at how this is working, so how does artificial intelligence create? Because it's still a creation, isn't it? That we've invented. So do you think that the person creating the AI, the software programs, needs to know the laws and the rules of computer coding? Of course they do. And they also need to know how to communicate to AI and how to ask the right questions. Otherwise, you're just using it like another form of Google. But there's some people that are literally giving voice commands and they're creating a whole range of things, so they know how to talk to it. And it creates. They need to have extensive knowledge of software engineering, machine learning, knowledge, product development skills to know the language of AI like Python or JavaScript or whatever it is. This is all to become a creator in the AI world. But there's also another form of creation that is often not really spoken about, and it's getting left behind more and more. The more AI grows, the more people talk less about real world reality, because it'll all be about what's happening in the IR world or the metaverse, that kind of a thing. So what about being a creator in the real world? So what do we need to know about to be able to create in the real world? Well, we need to know who you are as an energetic being, and that you have had many lifetimes here before, you'll have many in the future. And so if you know you're going to have many lifetimes here in the future on the planet, what kind of world do you want to reincarnate back into? What's the world going to be like in 2 lifetimes in the future when you're a teenage girl or a boy? What will it be like? Why are you here? What's this reality made of? We know it's made of energy, but how's that energy work? What's the language of that energy? For example, the universal laws we often talk about. What are the frameworks we have to work within? The rules of this reality, how it works and how we can manifest and make change and understand reality. And how can you learn to direct and talk to this energy for desired outcomes to communicate with the quantum field? And what's the ideal environment to be able to thrive in? And it is nature. It is nature and understanding nature and natural law and universal law, because that's the real world. There is going to be a massive pull and temptation to go into this artificial world. And yes, we will have to interact with it, absolutely, because if you want to have a job, all the businesses are going to be expecting you to be able to, work with this stuff to become more productive and stuff like that. I'm not saying not to do that, but we just have to make sure that we have a foundational understanding and learn about now. Now's the time, if there was ever a time in history to learn about true reality, how it works, how to communicate with it, how to connect to nature, now's the time for not only ourselves, but our children and children's children. It's very, very important, because that's what true connection is. The earth, the sun, animals, nature, friends, family, your ancestors behind you. And the connection to your own spirit is also very, very important. Your higher self, the part of you that is both infinite and eternal. Understanding this, whereas most people have no idea that they're spiritual beings and they're part of this one divine force that literally creates stars, planets, people, trees, bees. That's what we all are, just expressing ourselves in different forms. And they're so caught up in the human world and, what's happening on Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that. But we need to put that aside a lot more and get into nature a lot more and reconnect with these old-fashioned things: nature, ancestors, family, friends, the earth. That's what true connection is. And that's what the studies are showing creates health. Again, just look at that picture. It speaks 1,000 words. Our sun. Our Earth is moving with our sun throughout time and space. So we're at a different time space location. Where you woke up yesterday, you're in a different place. We're on this big spaceship, all hanging out together on this massive spaceship called planet Earth. And we're hurtling through time and space with this star. And our lives, our goals, our dreams, nothing would be possible without the sun and the earth. And there's a very, very specific, it's called the Goldilocks zone, very specific space and time and distance that the sun is from the earth that enables us to even have life and everything here. If that changes even slightly, things would be very different. It's actually truly magical when you stop and think about this. And so we get so much everything. The way we create reality is we literally take light, electrons from the sun, and through our thoughts, we capture that energy from the light, and then we create things through our thoughts and of course our actions and so on as well. Let alone the sun giving us vitamin D, and they reckon there's over 1,500 different micronutrients we get from the sun. It's hugely important to get out in the sun. And isn't it interesting they've made us all fear the sun so much in the last 50 years? It's such a huge thing for health. Very, very important. And then, of course, the earth. Without the earth, we would have nothing to eat, drink, a place to live, the energy, the crystals, the foods, the herbs, the nutrients, everything, even medicines and medications, everything comes from the earth. It's all material matter that comes from the earth. And so again, we can't create anything without our earth. And yet these two celestial beings that are so pivotal in our journeys and our lives for health and spiritual, mental, emotional health, our dreams, our goals, and everything. And most people never really connect with them. They don't have a relationship with them. They're living beings. Our earth and our sun, they have a spirit in them, just like you and I. And they also reincarnate. And they've been in the earth, the spirit of the earth mother, the spirit of the sun have been in those two avatars for a long, long time, holding space for us all to come down here and have cycles of death and rebirth and start off as, ether, and start off as minerals, start off as plant life, insect life, animals, human, having this incredible journey on this planet, learning and growing as we go along and evolving. And they've been there for us this whole time. And there's an opportunity to have a very deep and profound connection with these two celestial beings that will change your life. More than just standing on the earth and looking up at the sun and getting a suntan, but really, truly connecting with these very, very important beings in our reality. So there's a little picture of how that's going. And this is what creates the Schumann resonance. And there's lots of different techniques and skills we can teach you to connect really deeply with the sun and the earth, and have a really magical connection for them. They provide health and vitality to every part of your being, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. So one of the things about this, because we are evolving we're moving through time and space. So, in 100 years, we'll be a completely different time space than we are now on the earth. In 5 years, it will. In 5 minutes, we're hurtling through at a very, very fast pace. And so what that means is we're being exposed to different energy constantly. And the energy is constantly being upgraded. So as we move to different places, the light that's shining down on us is trying to help us upgrade. So we need to make sure we're getting our upgrades. Your phone needs an upgrade. When you get on your phone sometime and it says, oh no, you've got to download the new version of the app. There's been some and we're trying to get these upgrades on our phone and so on. And so what we need to do is we need to make sure we can do that. And as a being, just like our phones need an upgrade, we need to be out there getting an upgrade. And the way we do that is we get sunlight from the sunrise, sunset, also during the day, whole foods, candles, fires. We ground into the matter with the earth. So getting out on the earth and experiencing and letting yourself receive those upgrades is very, very important. Because if we're indoors too much, we're not getting those upgrades, then that can be a real problem. All right. So how can we come into a harmonic relationship? Well, just acknowledging that all life has a spirit and it's part of the force that moves in and through all things, including all of nature. They're all alive and they all deserve to be treated with that same reverence and respect that we think we need to be treated with. There's a movement growing around the world around like a legal movement called the natural rights of nature. The animals, the trees, the mountains, the indigenous cultures treated them more with a reverence and a respect because they knew they were all part of source energy. So we can learn how to talk to it, acknowledge the life and everything and treat them with respect. You don't have to necessarily, I mean, we do teach courses and things to be able to talk to and connect with these things at a very deep level. But even if you just get up and say hello, yeah, hello to the trees, just acknowledge that they're alive. Yeah, I can't really communicate with you yet, but I know you're alive. I'm just saying g'day. Yeah. Engage all your senses. When you go out there, really spend some time and just smell, listen, feel, because there's a difference between just going for a walk in nature where you're walking quite quickly and your mind's busy and you're thinking, and perhaps you've got your phone and someone calls you, and versus a deep, profound connection in nature. Respect and honor it. Start thinking about what you're doing. When I go to a place, can I pick up some rubbish and take it with me? So I leave the place better than I found it. Can I start using chemical-free products in my home, in my garden, things like that? And coming into a harmonic relationship with all the species. You can rise and simply face the sun barefoot on the earth and connect and receive those upgrades. So this is where it's really important. You can see alpha, the middle brainwave there, is the relaxing and recharging. And so this is the beauty of nature. This is what it gives us. 7.83 hertz, the alpha brainwaves. Isn't it interesting that it's exactly the same as the Schumann resonance? And yes, they go up and down a little bit. They both do, depending on what's coming on. But that seems to be the average of both of these states. And there's incredible benefits to that, often linked with meditation, creativity, deep learning. It's a relaxed but still alert, so you can still work and things like that. Relaxation, stress reduction, creativity, intuition, improved learning, memory, mind connection, body connection, flow state, peak performance. So does it make a difference? What's some of the science starting to show that I was talking to you about before? Mental benefits. This is really fascinating. Exposure to green spaces improves focus, creativity, cognitive function, decreases overthinking and mental overload. I mean, oh my goodness. Just from being out in a green space and looking at some trees and grass. Studies show spending time in nature improves memory retention and brain function. This is incredible. People take pills for this stuff. They spend thousands of dollars on supplements. You just go outside. It's incredible. Being in nature reminds us of the bigger picture, helping us release worries and regain mental strength. Emotional benefits, reduces anxiety and depression. Nature scenery lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. That is phenomenal. Some of the studies showed a 50% reduction in cortisol levels. Cortisol was highly dangerous in the human body, too much of it. The rhythmic sound of waves, rustling leaves, and birdsong help regulate emotions. Nature naturally elevates the feeling of gratitude, appreciation, contentment, encourages self-reflection and emotional release, and creates a sense of belonging and connection. Physical benefits. Phytoncides, natural plant compounds, increase white blood cells, strengthening immunity. Some of the tests were off the charts. Exposure to natural light regulates circadian rhythms for deeper, more restorative sleep. When you go out and you face the sun first thing in the morning and you get that morning sun on as much of your skin as possible, that sets up the release of the melatonin later that night for you to have a deep, restful sleep. It activates your hormones. It regulates everything. It's fascinating. Some of the studies coming out. Nature therapy is linked to reduce stress-related conditions and enhances energy levels and vitality. Fresh air and grounding, walking bare feet help balance the body's electromagnetic field. So, what are some of the spiritual benefits? Well, being in nature fosters a sense of oneness with all living things, enhancing spiritual awareness. That is just huge. The natural world slows down mental chatter, helping you stay present in the moment, and it provides a quiet space to tune into your higher self and receive insights, increasing energy alignment and supporting spiritual awakening, because many people experience profound realizations, visions, or an expanded sense of consciousness in nature. I know for me, when I have a big decision to make or there's something that I need to shift, I go out in nature and do like a mini vision quest. And it's so profound what comes, especially when you know how to really connect in and tune into nature. Because what happens is once you awaken to the force that moves in and through all things and your own higher self and your spiritual essence, and you start to acknowledge that in nature, your spirit and the force that moves in and through all things is constantly trying to communicate to you and give you messages. Different birds, different plants, different energies coming into your reality, and there's messages and alignment and teachings that come through there. And it's probably been the space where I've done my most profound work, most profound insights, received ideas and information for different teachings and courses and healing techniques and so on. It's really quite a beautiful place. And remember, most people aren't going to be doing this. Most people are going to be going where? AI. They're going to be asking a computer software for about their life and about the world and information. So there's a huge advantage to come back to what's real. This has been around for a long time and people haven't been doing it for a long time. But now more than ever, how are you going to give yourself an advantage in this world? It's this. It's real intuition, not a predetermined answer from a computer program. It's literally from the true force, the matrix, the knowing field. That's where the magic is. It's always been there, and we've gone down this other path, and it's getting more and more profound as we go down that path. So there's an invitation to come back to what's real. Not that you would never use those things, but imagine you have these incredible benefits from the nature, and you get ideas, epiphanies. You're coming from intuition, and then you use something like AI to help you go and create, your idea and bring it into reality. With building websites and doing all the stuff you need to do to run a business, whatever it is. Because the thing about nature connection, not all nature connection is the same. You can just be in another being's energy and you can just be sitting there. And it feels nice to be out with other people sometimes. When you've been indoors all day and you go out, you're just out and about, you're not necessarily talking to people, but you're out at a restaurant or you're there and there's other people there. And it feels nice just to be around other people. So, and that can feel good. Just like it can feel amazing. You get so many benefits just literally by going out, standing on the ground with your bare feet, being in the sun and listening to the leaves, the wind through the trees, rustling the leaves. Beautiful and so healing. And that's what a lot of the scientific studies have been based on. However, there's another way of communicating even deeper. Just like that, you can be there with people, but you can also connect in a profound way where you communicate and you have this incredible experience. You swap ideas and energy and you support each other. And this is a relationship you can have with nature. Just like, you can form lifelong friendships by meeting people and talking to them. You can do that as well with nature. Nature for people who are taught this can be something really, really beautiful, where it's like a lifelong friendship, where you can hang out with a tree or your horses or on the land and have and feel connected, not alone, feel like you're supported by this incredible being who is alive and can communicate, has thoughts, has feelings. So we've discovered, we've been taught this and discovered this. We've been over to South Africa and studied with Anna Breitenbach, who is probably the world's most profound animal communicator, where you can telepathically and energetically tune in and connect. It's called interspecies communication. You can connect in and have conversations and deep connections with plants, with animals, with trees, with mountains, rivers, water. And it's incredibly exciting to do that. And so we have actually, for those people that want to know about how can I actually utilize this nature healing and what can I connect from it, we've actually created a nature healing modality, because we've, just like energy healing is getting more and more well known and people are getting more into it, we believe moving forward that becoming a nature healing therapist could be, and just for your own self, just to experience it yourself, but also learning how to take other people through a deep, profound of nature connection, we think is going to be a huge, huge thing, because AI is going to replace so many jobs. It's going to really make a lot of things obsolete. And so I think there's actually a really incredible opportunity for human beings to reconnect back to themselves, back to nature, back to their creativity, back to their intuition, and from that place, utilize all the benefits of AI to go and create the ideas and inspirations that they're receiving from their intuition. And the place to do that is in nature. And you can actually learn to guide others into these profound, connections and become a skilled nature healing facilitator where you reconnect souls to the living wisdom of the earth. So the nature healing modality is drawing on universal laws, interspecies communication, and deep shamanic principles, and immersive nature-based practices. So we discover how to guide others through some of the greatest challenges of modern life: anxiety, mental overwhelm, burnout, emotional fatigue, nervous system dysregulation, and the growing impact of what we call nature deficit disorder. It's a real thing. And so some of the other things, you'll be learning if you are interested in this sort of thing is the wisdom of nature, because there's so much there. I'll never forget one of the retreats we do is a journey to oneness. And I went out and had a meditation with these trees beforehand, and I just finished learning from this is about 15 years ago, learning from my last teacher, and I decided to move on and maybe get a new spiritual teacher. And I went to this and I was inquiring, I was tuning into the tree and asking, what's my next, and it said, there isn't. We want you to come and learn from us, the trees, nature. We've got so much to show you and teach you. And I was just so blown away by that. And it's true. There's so many things that I've learned and discovered and applied to healing and things come from me spending time in nature and connecting to the wisdom of nature, especially trees. So what are some of the benefits or unique opportunities as a trained practitioner in nature therapy is you're going to stand out powerfully from traditional office-based therapists who work in artificial light and disconnected environments. You offer something authentic, nature-immersed healing that clients are increasingly craving. You get to capitalize on the growing nature deficit disorder epidemic in our digital screen-dominated world and really position yourself as a specialist who teaches profound nature connection rather than just going for a simple walk, because there really is a difference between that. You can go for a walk and you can go out and you can have a profound experience being guided through different journeys to take it to another level. So, some of the benefits of this, obviously, you can deliver measurable science-backed results, nervous system regulation, immune boosting, mental clarity, emotional release, all while weaving in deep shamanic and spiritual practices. So in that course, we teach you how to do one-on-one healing sessions. So everything we teach you, medicine wheel journeys, connecting with nature, all the letting go ceremonies, fire ceremony, a whole range of things you can do in a one-on-one session with people, but you can also take all the different things we teach you, and you can create little one-day retreats, half-day circles, meditation journey circles in nature, 2-day retreats if you want to. There's so many different ways you can apply all these techniques to your own life, to your family, your kids, community, but also obviously if you wanted to bring it into a healing practice, you could do that as well. Nature retreats is something that clients remember for a lifetime. I know, hopefully Yvette, you might share at the end, I'm sure you remember that retreat we did down at Bundanoon, probably something that stands out. I know for me it was a beautiful, beautiful weekend we all had together down there. So what we're looking at here is one of the things is you can weave all of this into anything you're doing already. So you might already be running retreats, you might already be doing healing sessions. It can add an increasing level of depth, a next level for your healing, and also give you a point of difference. And you can derive multiple revenue streams from it. You can do individual sessions, group work, corporate wellness days, multi-day retreats, because you're going to be learning to give people practical tools, not just little woo-woo things and, go for a walk, touch the tree, but really powerful things, power quests, mini vision quests, tree talk therapy, medicine wheel journeys, grounding exercise, fox walk, owl eyes. These are things that I've learned from many different indigenous cultures that I've been out in the bush and studied with over the years. It increases people's results and therefore your reputation moving forward as well. So you can build a unique personal brand as a leader in this fast-growing field of nature-based therapy. And, for you as well, you can deepen your own connection to Mother Earth, Father, Son, and all your relations, and helping others do it the same. So you can offer something truly where sessions become nature itself becomes a co-facilitator, creating more profound healing than indoor therapy alone. So guys, now's the time to, we're going to go through some questions now, and hopefully you've gained some insights and understanding of how profound nature is, what it can do for you, and some tips and techniques of how to connect to nature. And then also for those of you that are interested in like, okay, well, how can I even learn to do this and really connect even deeper and further for myself and my clients? We also spoke about that as well.